Brits can't get enough of the Nissan Qashqai. It's currently the fourth best-selling car in the country, success that's still relatively novel for Nissan, particularly as the Qashqai is a profitable crossover that's managing to nudge out traditional family stalwarts such as the Vauxhall Astra. To keep it on the boil, Nissan has given it a facelift, one that's more far-reaching than many such mid-life refreshes. Why such wholesale changes? Because the competition is tougher than ever, and Nissan rather fancies keeping hold of its strong selling status. The best-selling version will be the N-Connecta model we're testing here, fitted with a 1.5-liter DCI engine. 50% of buyers will pick this car alone. The anti-diesel mood clearly has yet to reach the crossover sector, but with claimed economy of 74.3 mpg and 99 grams per kilometer CO2, it's easy to see the draw. Indeed, it's not hard to see why the Qashqai itself sells so well. Rather than spoiling things with the refresh, Nissan has actually further enhanced its stylish appeal. The new front end is more distinctive and there's an effective nip and tuck at the rear too. With no more power, the 109 bhp DCI engine continues to be smooth but not particularly powerful. Overtakes require a down change or two. It's quieter than before though, helped by changes such as a thicker rear window, and fancy vortex generators under the front bumper that smooth out the airflow at speed. There are even now fewer vibrations through the steering wheel. Nissan has worked on the ride and handling. The steering is weightier around the center, which is better for control, although the variable assistance does mean it's perhaps a bit too light overall at lower speeds. Switching to sport mode makes it heavier, but it's not particularly convincing. More effective are upgrades such as a thicker anti-roll bar and softer springs and dampers. This helps the Nissan ride more smoothly over bumps while still feeling planted through corners, although there's still no denying this high-up crossover does roll a bit more than a normal hatch. It's a surprise to find Nissan hasn't added Apple CarPlay or Android Auto inside, while the infotainment screen is still not particularly intuitive. But aside from a few hard plastics lower down the dash, it's a nice and well-built interior, with some interesting-looking gloss black or silver trim options. Overall the Qashqai still stacks up. It didn't do much wrong before and a few of the slightly sharp edges have been successfully smoothed off with this good-looking facelift. It may even restore the Qashqai's class-leading status, recently grabbed by the Cita Chica. There's a twin test lined up very soon where we'll find out if the Nissan is still the crossover Brits should clamor for.
When the Nissan X-Trail was first launched back at the beginning of the 2000s, the car market was a very different place. You had your family cars and you had your 4X4S, and the term crossover had entirely different connotations. The X-Trail started something new. It was a beefy, boxy 4X4, but it was targeted as much at school-run duties as it was at active, outdoors use. Fast forward 17 years and the 4X4 market has metamorphosed. Every manufacturer now has a full range of crossover vehicles in Russian doll sizes, and Nissan's Qashqai is the most popular of the lot. The bigger Nissan X-Trail is still hugely popular, though, with global sales of 766,000 in 2016 making it the world's most popular SUV, and its extra size makes it a more practical choice for families than the Qashqai. As with anything this popular, it doesn't make sense to rip up the rulebook and start over every few years. So the new 2017 X-Trail is an evolution of the previous model rather than a dramatic change. That much is evident the moment you step inside the updated 2017 Nissan X-Trail. Despite a handful of upgrades, it's a very familiar place to sit. Indeed, when I had the chance to drive the X-Trail for the first time, it was alongside the new Qashqai, and it shares so much of that model's design DNA that the two are difficult to tell apart for anyone not in the know. So what's new inside? As with the Qashqai, the most obvious visual novelty is the new steering wheel. which now has a racy, flat-bottomed shape, a thicker rim and a smaller central hub to make it easier to see the instrument dials. Elsewhere, the top grade Techno trim now gets heated seats up front and in the second row. The leather seats have enhanced quilting, and boot capacity has been improved from 550 liters to 565 in the 5-seat model. The 7-seat model's boot size remains at 445 liters, but it doesn't look hugely different and the layout and popular 7-seat option remains in place. There hasn't been a huge step forwards in terms of what the X-Trail offers in its infotainment system either. There's a new optional 8-speaker Bose audio system, which I didn't have the chance to listen to in my test X-Trail, but which sounds fantastic in the Nissan Qashqai, and there's now DAB radio across the range too. Otherwise, even with its slightly more app-like appearance, the infotainment system is beginning to show its age. The sat-nav works reasonably well, but there's little in the way of provision for smartphone users other than the usual hands-free phone and Bluetooth audio playback support. There's no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay option, and the only built-in apps deliver Eurosport headlines, TripAdvisor suggestions and Google Online Search. Not the most useful array of software I'd venture. On the plus side, the 2017 Nissan X-Trail's infotainment system is at least easy to use and logically laid out. It's just a shame there isn't an awful lot to it. The new Nissan X-Trail paints a similar picture when it comes to driver assistance technologies, which Nissan made great play of at the launch. Dubbed ProPilot, the system will be able to control steering, acceleration and braking on highways and while cruising at high speed. But it won't be arriving for customers on the Nissan X-Trail until 2018. For now, you'll have to make do with the usual selection of helpful, but slightly less exciting, features, which include, depending on the model you purchase, automatic bay and parallel parking, 360-degree top-down camera view, road sign recognition and lane departure warnings. The X-Trail's Hill Start Assist feature has been improved with the new Standstill Assist, which will hold the car still for 3 minutes before applying the parking brake automatically. The car's intelligent mobility features have been enhanced as well, with pedestrian recognition adding to the car's intelligent emergency braking system and rear cross-traffic alert, which activates visual and audible alerts when the driver attempts to reverse when another vehicle is detected approaching from the side. The Nissan X-Trail is available with a couple of different engines in front-wheel and four-wheel drive options and with manual and automatic CVT transmission. It's effectively the same range as on the previous Model X-Trail. I drove the four-wheel drive 2-liter 175 bhp diesel with 6-speed manual gearbox both on and off-road, and it behaved impeccably in all conditions. It's a little noisy when the revs pick up, and the long-throw manual gearbox means the gear change is a little agricultural in feel, but handling is composed and assured as it always has been, and body roll is surprisingly well controlled around corners for such a large vehicle. On the road, it feels almost as agile and well-mannered as the smaller Qashqai, and they took our off-road route, mainly gravelly fire roads with one steep and bumpy downhill technical section, comfortably in its stride. With no complicated settings to worry about, a simple knob mounted in the center console allows you to switch between 2WD, Auto mode, where power is sent to the rear wheels only in slippery conditions, and 4WD, this is not a car you can take on the harshest of off-road safaris, but it'll go fine if you regularly drive reasonably long sections of unpaved road. With prices starting at just over £23,000, the Nissan X-Trail 2017 delivers a for your money. It's spacious, handles well, delivers effective off-roading capabilities, and there's a good selection of safety tech as well. The slightly refined exterior design means it looks better than ever as well, although I do feel the slightly buggy rear brake light clusters could do with a makeover. However, its infotainment system is in need of a spruce up. It looks old-fashioned and features are limited, and it's disappointing that ProPilot isn't arriving until 2018, so buyers in search of the most cutting-edge tech may want to cast their eyes towards the Skoda Kodiaq instead.
I'm bored already. Don't be. as Nissan Qashqai go, this is a somewhat interesting one. Mainly because it's the fastest and most powerful one you can buy. And it doesn't have a diesel engine. Its 1.6-liter, 4-cylinder turbo petrol has 161 bhp and 177 pounds-ft, so 0-62 mph takes a shade over 9 seconds, and the top speed is a whopping 124 mph. Not that quick, is it? No, not really. In fairness, it's not exactly built as the fast one, it's not covered in NISMO badges, and it doesn't have silly seats or an obnoxious exhaust. It does, however, have the multi-link rear suspension fitted to all-wheel drive Qashqai, even though it's front-wheel drive only, and a 10-liter bigger fuel tank for more range. Bigger tank? Can't be very economical, not around town, where you'll get high 30s. A 20-mile schlep out of town followed by a 50-mile motorway B-road run, and the same in reverse, yielded 44.6 mpg, about the same as we get from our Nissan Micra Longtimer over the same route distance. In all, not bad. Much fun? Not as much as a Cita Chica, the steering is pretty slow and requires much twiddling. But that's besides the point. If you're really interested in driving, you should be buying a conventional hatchback rather than a crossover, which are inherently compromised by their size and heft. Smaller, lighter, and a lower center of gravity makes for more fun. What's more important is comfort. Body control is good in the Qashqai, but on the 19-inch alloys of our test car, the ride is incredibly firm. A load of tire or two. We haven't tried one on smaller wheels, but it might be worth sacrificing some spec and buying a lower trim just for the bigger sidewalls. Noted. And this is, of course, the recently facelifted Qashqai, which means you get the new exterior aesthetic, better interior trim plus myriad tech and safety improvements. Nissan has made some minor mechanical changes, but none that dramatically affect the way the Qashqai behaves or performs. There is a new trim level though, Techna Plus. Aims to push the QQ further up market and comes with much kit as a consequence, but little can be done to mask the fact the infotainment and general interior layout are a bit old tech. Quality and space are fine, but rivals like the Etika and especially the Peugeot 3008 have moved the interior game on somewhat. Engine any good? Or should I stick with the diesel? This is not a remarkable engine. It's acceptably refined, punchy and economical, not the hidden gem of the range that we'd hoped it might be. But if it's a petrol you're after, and more of you are, nowadays, this is probably the one to have. The only other option, the 1.2 turbo, is down on power and not that much more economical than the 1.6. On paper it only has less than a 2 mpg advantage, 50.4 to 48.7 mpg, and is almost 2 seconds slower to 62 mph. You'd have to work it harder, so in that fabled thing we call the real world they're probably equally uneconomical. May as well spend the extra £1,400 or so and enjoy the many benefits of having more power torque at your disposal. Makes for a comfier, more relaxing car. Unless you want auto, then you have to have a CVT, UGG, and the 1.2. Should I buy one? If you like the Qashqai, fair enough, though there are crossovers we'd recommend over it, and don't want or are worried about buying a diesel, then yes,